Hello, welcome back to LIVENODING. In this episode, I will be creating some kind of creature like this, and it's just like a little bit of improvisation with extrusions using SVerchok nodes. So this is actually quite easy to create. So let's get started. So we're gonna open up SVerchok nodes, create. So I will be actually starting with a grid. So it's gonna be simple. And we're just gonna use extrude separate faces. So this node is quite powerful. It might not seem like it's very powerful, but let's just plug this in. Okay, the way you plug it in these days, you just select those nodes and then tap V. So that's gonna be a lot faster. And then control click to give you the viewer. So currently it's just a plane. We want it to have more subdivisions. Center it. So we have 9 faces here. So let's start with 9 face. We can extrude it up, and we can scale it. So it's not very clear. Maybe turn on the shading. Okay. So we know we can extrude and we can scale. So that's the basic of extrude separate faces, and you can randomize this height and you can randomize the scale. But in this mode, it's only extruded up using the normal. You can switch to the matrix, and this is where it's becoming a little bit more interesting. So with the matrix, you have a lot of control over the axis angle, things like that. So that's this is something you can play around with. Let's extrude it up, but you can also kind of move it in X and Y. So that's one thing to know. And you can scale it, and you can play with the angle. Of course, by default it's doing a twist, but you can randomize this. So let's actually do that. I call this kind of like a more like advanced, but not really that complicated. So now if I set this to 9, let's save this beforehand. Advanced extrusion. So we're gonna start to feed a lot of value into these nodes. Here I'm randomizing the extrude up or extrude down. So it's really up to you if you want to go down. For now, we're just gonna go up. So it's extruding based on this normal. The scaling here, you can adjust it so it's scale up or scale down. You can actually randomize that later. Okay. So how about we actually use random vector, and the count will be 9 as well, and that number 9 is actually from the polygon face here. So least length, so get the polygon. If you control and right click, you get this stethoscope, and it's gonna give you the temporary stethoscope. It says 9, right? Okay, so that number can go into those attributes down there. Oops, my blender is super slow right now. Okay, now this random vector can go there. You can see the extrusion is randomized, and you can control the angle. Maybe for the angle, not too much. Okay, so that makes sense, right? So that's actually only a single extrusion, but with a lot of things going on back there. Okay, so the idea is to make multiple extrusion. So that's gonna be quite interesting. So let's actually disconnect this. Currently, I think I'm just gonna do it this way. So I'm gonna extrude it multiple times. So 2 times, maybe 3 times. So the nice thing is that you can select this and hit V and also create a viewer draw over here. So suddenly you have a lot of things going on, right? That will surprise you at first. This actually I forgot. This should be in, and we need to do the masking. I've gone a little bit too fast. This should be extrude in. And we need to pipe in the mask as well. So now you get that. In fact, the very end there, you can actually scale out. So you get the idea. This 4-time extrusion. Each one of them can be slightly randomized. But each one of them is performing the same thing. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. I think that's really powerful. And in fact, at some point in time, I want to control the extrusion a little bit more, kind of like maybe drawing grease pencil and then replacing it. So I think that's what really SVerchok is really good at. And then if you replace the plane, so this is the original. Blender actually have this thing. If you switch this to link cut and then control right click and then make a cut. Oops, I keep forgetting this. Is it control? If we have this and I want to make a router, shift right click. Yeah, shift right click. This thing used to be one tool, that's why. Shift right click and then cut. You get this router. You can replace it with a icosphere or maybe like a box, but it's up to you. That's going to be the vertices, edges, and faces. And then at the very end, you control click and you get that. And which is really powerful. You can increase the radius still. You can still adjust the scaling. And then you can bake it. In fact, it doesn't have to stop there. You can actually do more. I just for this video, I'm actually gonna stop right here. It's this one actually. If you remember, there is actually one node. It's called the multi-extrude. So I've done this in the past using this multi-extrude. This was actually an add-on. So this node is really powerful. It's one of the super nodes. And what I'm trying to recreate is manually try to build this. This one has a scale nodes, random rotation, random offset, and see you can tell how many repeats you have. So this one is really powerful, and we are actually doing it the same thing, more or less, with our nodes. It's just if you know this pattern and you know what you're dealing with, you can actually build something that's a little bit more controllable. So this icosphere, you can still adjust subdivision, change the radius. You can perhaps actually use something like box node. If you use subdivision, connect it. So this vertices, edges, and face. subdiff actually, a SVerchok subdivided node actually have smoothing. So that's actually important. And then you can use fractal as well, a little bit of fractal, and you can randomize the seed. So this will, if you randomize the seed and animate in between, it's gonna make this creature alive. So we can randomize the seed, but normally, okay, the seed is cool. Normally, if you want to animate something, just actually use noise displays, because with noise displays, instead of jumping around with the seed, you are really animating in between. Okay, so we're gonna create some kind of creature here. It's all the way there. Use bmesh viewer, plug this in. Okay, that's the low res version. So we have noise displays. Let's see, we have one matrix here. We can have noise displays that we can connect. And this, perhaps this can go to the matrix. And we can then animate the vector. So vector in. So all the terminology like vector, matrix, all those scary terminology doesn't matter as long as you know what you're doing. So there you go. You have this creature that's animating. If you want to make this a little bit further, use displays. Okay, maybe not too much, but in this, for this, I'm just gonna animate it. So you can use frame numbers to animate the noise. So we have our creature. All right, so that's just an idea. You can do a lot more, definitely. But this is just only 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 level iterations of the same thing. So that's what SVerchok is really good at. Many extrusion at the same time. If you actually use Sorcar actually can create something that's a little bit more complex. For example, each one of them to do branching, looping, branching iterations, and recursiveness is what can be complicated using SVerchok, but easier using Sorcar or maybe using animation nodes. It depends. Animation nodes have some cool stuff happening. So yeah, but SVerchok, in terms of simplicity, this is actually really quite advanced, but it's made really simple. Okay, so a lot of things going on here. Hopefully you find this useful. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.